The Foundation was created to save humanity.
We're less than a month away from Foundation Season 3 dropping, and we've already had a TV spot, but last week we got the first official trailer and proper look at the show, and man, does it show us a lot.
Darkness is coming.
Now, I'm not going to cover everything that's in the trailer. I was thinking of doing a deeper dive video into a sort of scene-by-scene type thing. So if you'd like to see that, let me know in the comments below or leave a like in the video. But as always, I'm Al, this is the Geek in Review. So let's get to our first look at Foundation Season 3. So it opens on an unfamiliar world, and the trailer is absolutely packed with new worlds. If this season follows the path of the third Foundation novel, which covers the conflict with the Mule, we're going to see more worlds than we ever have before, and their inhabitants as well. So we're really going to get a sense of what's going on in the greater galaxy, probably around the time of the fall or just after it. Why do I think that is? I'll get to it later on. It opens with Hari talking about the history of the Foundation and the coming threat of the Mule. We also see him emerge from the sleeper pods him and Gaal were put into at the end of Season 2, but remember, they were going to be periodically woken up to keep an eye on the Mentalics, so this scene might not be set in the sort of quote-unquote present timeline or present storyline with the Mule. Remember, this show loves to play with how stories are told and how time works within stories as well, so we don't exactly know. I do think we're probably going to get quite a few flashbacks of their years on Ignis and what was going on with the Mentalics, because it'd be kind of shocking if they didn't follow up that storyline. We also see several battles raging on these new worlds as well, and there's a chance at least one of these is New Terminus, as there seems to be an agricultural or farming planet, and we do see the vault there with the Mule over it, or the Mule under it I should say as well.
The Mule is here. We're out of time.
Trailer then cuts to the Mule, and we get our first look at Demarzel in this season's day as well. Now, one thing that you notice straight away is obviously Day does look very dishevelled, like he's about to go surfing somewhere in Southern California. But if you look at Demarzel, she's more regal than ever. Her outfits were always catching, or sort of eye-catching and popping out in the first few seasons, but in this one, she does seem to be more relaxed and much more like a royalty, which essentially she is, because we now know that she's Cleon's forever empress. But it does show just how much the scales have tipped between these two characters over the years. What's also interesting is I wonder how public this is. Is Demarzel now openly in charge and the clones are just kind of puppets? Or are they just kind of figureheads as well? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Now, we get a few more shots of the farming planet, and again, I think this is New Terminus. The reason for that is the Foundation is all about collecting resources, and food is a main resource. There's several shots of absolutely huge industrial farming equipment. It looks like they're cultivating crops. So the Mule is probably come looking definitely for the second Foundation, but probably for the resources as well.
I have talents, you see. I can worm my way into people's minds.
Speaking of the Mule, he gives a voiceover as we see several planets, no doubt ones that he's taken over the years, as he explains exactly what his abilities are. Now, I'm kind of surprised that they gave this up in the trailer, because it is a big aspect of the Mule's character. So while he is a Mentalic, his power is very different to, say, Gaal or Talent Bond. She's still alive, by the way, I will not be told otherwise. He can influence people and take control of their mind, essentially, which is why he's such a great threat to psychohistory and Hari's plan. The guy can literally tip any balance in his favour to any outcome that he wants, which is why, from what we see in the trailer, he's able to take control of literal planets and build an army very quickly. Also, something that's really important to remember is this guy knows that Hari and Gaal are coming for him, and all this is kind of done in preparation for the threat of the Second Foundation and Gaal. And I think that's something that's important to remember, because I think this season is going to get into the question of, did they create this guy by journeying or, visioning into the future, or was it always going to be? I don't think it's probably going to get that muddled into it too much, but as always, we're going to have to wait and see. We also get a few other action shots with what looks to be a sort of speeder bike chase across one of these new planets as well. I did pause it to try and get a better look to see if we could make out who they are, and one of them does kind of look like Raish, but I think both of these guys are new characters for this season. We also see Demarzel studying the prime radiant that Hari gave her at the end of season 2, and I've got a really good theory on that I'm going to do a video on soon, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it. It does look like the current Dawn is with her, talking about someone's future being foretold. Now, I don't want to assume that it's Gaal, because it always is Gaal, but it is a bit obvious. It could also be one of these new characters in the season we don't know yet that she's talking about as well. Later on in the trailer, Day does reference a female who can tip the balance, and I'm going to get to that in a bit. Really interesting is the voiceover then cuts to characters talking about the Foundation and Empire joining forces to beat the Mule.
We need Empire and Foundation to beat the Mule.
Which is completely super huge, and not everyone's going to like it. We also see Demarzel attack Gaal, and if you pause it, it looks like they are actually on the beggar. I mean, I might be wrong about this. It could all be a dream or a vision or something like that. I highly doubt that, because Demarzel is a robot and she sort of can't manifest or, have that sort of power work over. Also, she's going to want to catch up with one of the versions of Hari Seldon at some point as well, and she's probably going to see Gaal as maybe not the key to psychohistory, but one of the sort of facets to unlocking it or manipulating the future. Is she going to want her dead? I guess we're going to have to wait and see. She might want to keep her and use her and manipulate her in other ways, but let me know what you think about that in the comments below. Now, as I keep saying, the trailer is full of huge reveals, and one of them seems to be an absolutely massive one if you haven't read the books, and that's the destruction or the fall of Trantor. There's another shot later on in the trailer where it seems that this might be happening to other planets as well, but it's hard to tell if this is the Mule attacking Trantor, or it is the Second Foundation, or it is some sort of other force. It does seem that they are sticking quite religiously or sort of quite closely to the whole Mule storyline, but because of the whole thing about, Gaal and Salvor and the clones and the genetic dynasty, we're going to have to wait and see how they're going to change or adapt this. And as always, not everyone's going to like it, and they're going to let me know in the comments below. We always knew that the fall was going to come. How exactly and who's going to take power after it, though, that's what's going to be interesting. What's curious as well is we don't really get a look at what the planet is like, and after 150 years, it's probably not going to be in the best of states judging by how the Cleons look.
Everything is going to end. She is the only one who can stop it.
And the reason I say that is the literal next shot is Brother Day in chains, seemingly being captured. He might be on trial, it's kind of hard to tell. We hear a voiceover talking about someone, and it's a she that he's referring to that I mentioned earlier on, being the only one to stop it, and of course he's referring to the coming darkness. Now, it's a safe assumption that he might mean Demorzel, but he could mean Gaal as well. The reason I think it's Demorzel is I do think that she's going to try and puppet Gaal the way that she's been puppeting the clones. So she's going to try and manipulate psychohistory the way that she's manipulated the Empire. How this is all going to pan out and if it's going to be accurate or not, we're going to have to wait and see. Now, there's a hell of a lot packed into this trailer, and it's only a few minutes long. Of course, it focuses on the coming darkness and the Mule, but what we don't really get is any update on Calais. We don't really clearly see the inside of the vault or Vault Hari, and it's kind of hard to tell who the new characters on New Terminus are going to be. It probably will be a 10-episode run like the last two, so God knows what they're not showing us, but as always, I want to hear your theories on what's going to happen this season. So let me know in the comments below, and as I said, I'm going to be doing a ton more videos on Foundation, because I've done a ton more already. So if you want to catch up, here's a link to rewatch it all, and there'll be a link in the comments as well for the full Foundation sort of box set. And if you've made it this far, leave a like on the video, and if you haven't done it already, hit subscribe, and as always, my name's Al, thanks for watching.